Today, we are going to get into something really fascinating. It's an idea from Block about how to completely rethink the way we structure a company. And we're not just talking about using AI to make things a little bit faster. No, we're talking about replacing the entire 2,000-year-old concept of hierarchy. So, let's break down how they plan to do it.
And it all kicks off with this pretty strange question, right? What on earth could the Roman army possibly have to do with the future of AI in business? It sounds like a total non sequitur, but believe me, the answer is the key to understanding this entire massive shift.
Because the answer, it turns out, is everything. And to really get why, we've got to go way, way back in time, to the very beginning of large-scale human organization. See, we're talking about a problem that is literally as old as civilization. How do you get thousands of people to work together on a single goal? This isn't some modern MBA problem. This is a fundamental human challenge. The Romans, well, they cracked it with a nested hierarchy. But you have to think about this as more than just a military command chain. It was, for all intents and purposes, an information routing protocol. Information and orders flowed up and down these very specific layers, from a small tent of 8 guys all the way up to a 5,000-strong legion.
So why that structure? Why all the layers? Well, it all boils down to one simple biological human limit that has shaped every large organization since: the span of control. A single person can only really manage a handful of other people, somewhere between 3 and 8. That one little constraint is the reason your company has an org chart. It's the reason middle management even exists.
And because of that span of control, for 2,000 years, every single organization has been stuck in an unbreakable trade-off.
You can actually trace a whole history of just trying to find workarounds for it. From the Prussians, who basically invented the modern concept of middle management, to the first corporate org charts from the railroads, to matrix organizations in the 50s, and even all the recent experiments in tech like squads or holacracy. All of them, just clever workarounds for the exact same problem. And here is that trade-off. It's simple, really. If you want to coordinate more people to get bigger, you have to add more layers of management. But every single layer you add acts like sludge, slowing down the flow of information. So you can get rid of layers to move faster, sure, but then you can't scale. You either get speed or you get scale. You couldn't have both. Until, maybe, now.
Which brings us right here, to today, and the incredible inflection point we're living through. See, the arrival of AI isn't just another clever workaround. It's the first real chance in human history to completely shatter that trade-off.
And this is where Block's thinking gets so radical. They're not saying, we want to use AI to improve our hierarchy. Nope. They are stating, out loud, that they intend to replace what the hierarchy does entirely.
Right now, the common view of AI is the co-pilot, right? It's a tool that sits next to you and makes you, in your little box on the org chart, a bit more productive. Block's view is not that. They don't see AI as a co-pilot for the people. They see AI as the organizational structure itself. It's the nervous system.
Let me put it as simply as possible. For the very first time, we have a technology that can do the main job that hierarchy was created for. AI can perform the coordination functions. It can route information, it can maintain alignment, and it can coordinate work across huge groups of people. That has never been possible before.
So that's the big idea. But what does it actually look like to build a company this way? Well, Block is designing their company not as a hierarchy of people, but as a kind of centralized intelligence. Let's look at the architecture.
The whole thing is built on a foundation of 2 what they call world models. The first one is the model of the company itself. It's built by feeding the system all the digital exhaust from remote work. Every line of code, every design file, every decision doc. The second model is of the customer, and it's built from what they call the most honest signal there is: money. A transaction is a fact. It's what people actually do, not what they say they'll do.
Okay, so those models feed into this 4-part system. At the bottom, you have raw capabilities. These are like financial Lego bricks, things like payments or lending. Then you have the world model we just talked about, which provides all the context, and then, and this is the magic part, an intelligence layer that actually composes those capabilities into solutions for customers. And finally, you have interfaces like Square and Cash App, which deliver those solutions to the real world.
Now, this is where it really gets wild, because this system completely upends the idea of a corporate roadmap. You no longer have executives in a room guessing what to build for the next 2 years. In this new model, when the intelligence layer tries to solve a customer's problem, but fails because a capability is missing, that failure signal is the roadmap. It tells you exactly what you need to build next.
The customer's reality directly generates the company's to-do list.
Okay, so this brings us to the big, obvious, and maybe slightly scary question. If the AI system is handling coordination and the customer's reality is setting the strategy, what's left for the people to do?
The answer is a complete inversion of the traditional org chart. You flip it inside out. Instead of a pyramid of people passing information up and down, you have the intelligent system at the center, providing perfect context to everyone all the time. And the people, they move to what Block calls the edge, where they can actually interact with reality, use their creativity and intuition, and act on the context the system provides.
And out there on the edge, things get a lot simpler. There are really just three roles. You've got your individual contributors, the specialists who actually build and operate the system. You have DRIs, or directly responsible individuals, who own big, cross-cutting customer problems, kind of replacing the old product manager role. And you have player coaches, whose job isn't to manage projects, but to develop people and help them get better at their craft.
So here's the punchline. That permanent layer of middle management, the human information routing protocol that started with the Roman army, it's just not needed anymore. The system itself is now handling all that coordination and alignment. So what does all this mean for the future? Well, this isn't just some interesting thought experiment for one company. This could be a blueprint for how all companies eventually operate in the age of AI.
Which brings us to a question that I think every leader and employee needs to ask themselves right now. It's not about what your company does, it's about what your company understands that is genuinely difficult for anyone else to understand.
Because the answer to that question creates a massive divide. If the answer is nothing, really, then AI is just a cost-cutting tool. It's a story about efficiency on your way to becoming irrelevant. But if your company has a deep, unique, compounding understanding of something important, well, then AI is the tool that finally reveals and unleashes what your company truly is.
For 2,000 years, since those first Roman legions marched, we've built our organizations on the assumption that humans were the only option for running the information architecture of a company. The question was never if you needed the layers of hierarchy, just who you would put in them. Well, we now know those layers don't have to be filled by people anymore.